Hello and welcome back. I am Damien with Project Omnia, and today I'm here to do an opinion discussion video. I just wanted to let you know that, of course, this is just my opinion, so don't lose your shit if you disagree. Leave a comment down below with what you think about what I have to say here, and with that, we are going to hop right into the topic of today's discussion, which for me, it's what I think manga and anime could do better narratively. For me, that is, I would say, a more evergreen approach than they currently do to the idea of like politics and just general like authority and authoritative institutions as a whole. So what I mean by that is like as it sits currently, plenty of manga and anime at least do a good enough job to be like, okay, well, the authoritative institutions of a lot of our fictional worlds, like, they make sure they're flawed in some way, right? So they are presented in a way where it's like, okay, these things aren't perfect, here are their flaws, as well as here are the benefits, right? So, and that's a storytelling technique that's been around for forever. It's not just exclusive to manga and anime. It's just something that they utilize pretty regularly. But where I feel that they fail is they never really have the reader or viewer question, like, if these institutions should exist at all. And now you might argue that that's true of pretty much all forms of entertainment. And you know what? I mean, I'm not like someone who reads a lot of normal books and stuff. So that's like one area that I wouldn't have a lot of knowledge on. I don't read a lot of comic books. I do know some examples from comics where that kind of question has been thrown out there. I mean, you could certainly argue, yes, that it's an issue for a lot of different mediums if you're going to come at it from the perspective that I'm coming at it from. I think it's important to kind of preface this with the fact of where I'm coming from. Me personally, I identify as a voluntarist, which, as simply put as I can put this, is I operate on the non-aggression principle and the idea that all human interactions, whether they be between two different individuals or multiple individuals acting as groups, should be done voluntarily. That's how everything should function. Everything. And so, like, if you really sit and think about it with how things currently sit in our world, that's not how the world is currently operating. And that, of course, is something that ends up reflected in storytelling. I mean, most of the time, storytelling is used as a way to kind of make sense of our own world and our own shortcomings, kind of help us contextualize and see things differently and to have like adventures. And, I mean, there's different ways it kind of goes, but generally speaking, fictional worlds are somewhat reflective of the real world. I really think it's important for us to sort of question some of our ideas. And I think one of the things that isn't questioned, particularly in fiction, enough, is the existence of these kind of authoritative institutions. I mean, we've had them for so long, but like if you look at the history of these institutions and the people that run them, the ruling class, like they don't have a good track record. Not a single one of them does. And so you would think, particularly in such a creative sphere, such as like any entertainment, but such as manga and anime, you would think in such a sphere that there would be a lot of kind of stories to look into and be like, oh, hey, look, they're kind of questioning, should we be doing things this way anymore? I do think it's really important to question that. Now, you might say, okay, well, what exactly are you looking for? And I mean, again, for me, it's just the idea to question it. And I don't really think they do that. Like, they just present it in a way where they're like, okay, well, it's not perfect. But then, like, once you get to the end of a lot of these stories, either the institution itself still exists, just they've changed some pieces, and then now suddenly things are, like, magically better, or they're presented in a way where you're supposed to be hopeful that things are going to be different. Like, say, for example, the end of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where really it's a changing of the guard, but Amestrius and its government still exists. And yes, some things have changed, and the people now in charge have made some changes, but there's no real question about how's that going to play out, and are things going to be beneficial for everyone, right? And like, is such a problem like what existed before never going to arise again? I mean, none of that is questioned. It's just, oh hey, bam, we've changed some pieces here, and those pieces have made X changes, and now everything's all magical and better, right? Don't get me wrong, I really love Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but again, there's no real kind of question, should this even exist at all? And I think another really popular example from today is My Hero Academia. And Horikoshi, in particular, like, don't get me wrong, so it's a good enough story. I mean, I think plenty of stories are better, but I like My Hero. It's fun enough. One of my biggest complaints about it is, like, Horikoshi does not do a very good job of kind of making anyone want to side with any of the quote unquote villains in the series. What I mean by that is, like, he gives them all kind of a certain flaw, either as a character or, you know, like in their motives, or like how they're carrying out the means to their ends. It's very easy for the reader or viewer to then be like, okay, well, like, I can kind of sympathize with like their, you know, what's causing them to want to do this, but based upon how they're acting and how they're trying to get to that place, I can't agree with it, or I can't side with them, right? I think the closest one most people could have sided with was Stain. For me, it was just, his reasoning was very superficial, right? Like, his parameters for, okay, here's who I'm going to kill and here's who I'm going to allow live. It was very, very stupid and utopian. And that was, you know, the whole, basically, if you make money off of this, and you ask for compensation, you deserve to die. You're not a real hero. I mean, no. No one is just entitled to a good or a service. So heroes asking for money is not inherently wrong, nor a poor reflection of their character or their ability to be a hero. I digress. Anyways, when it comes to how Horikoshi kind of presents the other side in My Hero, I don't think he's presented it in a way where the reader or viewer is really going to question, like, should these institutions exist at all? He just presented it in a way where, like, okay, well, you need to get these people out, put better people in, and then change how this institution functions in this regard, right? And then everything will be all good and kosher. And that's totally how I expect My Hero to end as well. You know, the heroes are ultimately going to triumph, and in the end, you're going to get just some changing of the guard, basically, and they're going to change how the system functions a little bit, and then basically everything will be all good again. And we aren't going to question basically the philosophy behind having a ruling class and having a servant class, essentially. We're not going to question that at all. No reason to question it, right? And I think that's kind of foolhardy. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion. You guys leave your opinion down in the comments below. If you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're brand new. I will have a link in the description for my PayPal to get my own story turned into a manga, because I need to hire an artist for that. And I will see you in the next video. Peace!